Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RuCap here on RHAP. We know reality TV. Today we're going to be talking about episode 11, which I can't believe we're already at episode 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and with me today to help break everything down is Aman Adwin. Aman, how are you doing?
I am wonderful. Glad to be back yet again. We are just chugging along through this season. What are we down to the final 6 now? It's kind of insane.
It's so wild. I feel like this happens to me every season where there's thousands queens on the season, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, we're at the end.
Where the hell
Like
did
we're
everybody
rounding the final bend. Yeah, where did everybody go? But yeah, as Aman mentioned, we're now down to our top 6 queens after this episode. We lost Lydia Butthole Collins this week, Aman, which was sad, but here we are.
Her butthole was taken from us.
No more butthole. And it was funny because a proctologist role did her in. Well, maybe more the scissors in the lip sync did her in, but we'll get into everything from that. So I think I first want to talk about the mirror message, because this is something that I had actually seen circulating on social media even before the episode had aired, because you could see what Arietti had left. So the message was, Onya, as one smelly bitch to another, please brush your teeth. And it turns out that Onya had been dealing with a medical condition, which Arietti did not know about. And so this sort of stirred up a ton of drama.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, did she ever mention, like, did we ever know this about her? Like, I don't think it was ever mentioned on the episode until now. Obviously, you know, the queens are going to have lots of conversations that don't air. Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate. Like, clearly this was something that was shared in confidence, and it's something that she's deeply insecure about. So to just have that one last little jab was a lot. It was a lot. Sometimes, you know, we go a little bit overboard with our shade, and that's what happened here. I am all for the queens being able to reconcile with one another, and I don't because, you know, there's been a lot of critique. People have been dragging Arietti online for what she did. And Arietti was like, look, like, I don't have to explain myself to any of you. It's between me and Onya. Her and I are good. We have since talked. We are good. So, like, I don't feel like I need to make a public apology, because I feel like that's disingenuous. And it's like, on one hand, I understand what you're saying, but at the other is like, well, no, you kind of do have to explain yourself to people because you're on a public platform. You said you did something publicly. It might not feel that way because you did it a long time ago, but you still did something that you knew was going to air. You hurt somebody. I'm glad that you guys are good, but, like, don't try to dismiss everyone else just now catching up, girl. Like, we just got here. Like, y'all have been around for a while. Yeah, we understand, but we just got here. So, of course, people are going to be up in your mentions being like, that was fucked up. Like, just own it and be like, you know what? Yeah, I had a moment. We've since moved forward. We're good. I apologize. I apologize to anyone else that I may have offended through it, and move on. Like, don't try to diminish how the audience is going to react, because of course they're going to react. Like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree. And it's funny because she almost goes like halfway. She explains the situation that her and Onya are good. And it's like, just add in. And of course, like, I'm sorry for, you know, I didn't realize the full context of the situation. Regardless, I apologize for my actions. Like, it's just like, it's so simple, girl.
So
but
simple.
if, you know, if she wants to be involved in the drama, that seems to be a little bit of her brand and the messiness. So okay, maybe this is on purpose, right? Like, the lack of public apology just continues to fuel the drama, which could continue to, you know, bolster her career. So,
I mean, that's all she got. That's all she got going for her now. I mean, she's once that you put that sewing machine away, what else is left?
Yeah.
Drama.
Oh my God. Yeah. Whoops. Whoops. Which I'm very happy that Arietti was not here for this challenge, because the Maxi challenge this week was an acting challenge. So it was Ross Matthews versus the Ducks, which was the tribute to Truman Capote and his swans, which where Truman Capote, like, knew all of the lives of these socialites and then sort of published a lot of the drama and gossip behind the scenes. And so this is Ross Matthews doing the same, using all of the queens as, you know, famous reality TV celebrities from the current time. So updated and all that. Aman, how did you feel about this challenge?
I love it when I'm educated by Drag Race, especially through the challenge. I wasn't aware of who Truman Capote was. I didn't even know that Ryan Murphy did he had a show called Feud where he dramatizes famous feuds. I watched what is it, Betty versus Joan, two famous
Joan
actresses, and
Crawford,
there we go.
I believe.
And so I'm definitely excited to check this out. I enjoyed it because I love messiness on reality TV, and when one of my fave reality TV stars was being impersonated here, I like lit up. I was like, bitch, bitch. You better do it right, okay? You better do it right. I would win this challenge, okay? There is not a lot of stuff on Drag Race that I am confident about, but I know that I would win this challenge, okay? I am from Chicago.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I'm not a big Housewives or like Vanderpump Rules person. So I was a little bit out of my element. I'm going to straight up admit. So if I'm talking about things completely out of context, like that I don't know, apologies. Like that's just not part of the reality TV world that I've like currently existed within. But New York, baby, Tiffany New York Pollard, Aman. Yes, you and I, same page. I was so excited when New York was going to be one of the women that was going to be impersonated. Whether or not Jules did a good job, we'll get into all of that as we talk about the queens. But I also similarly, like I knew who Truman Capote was, but I was not familiar with the Truman Capote and the Swans. And similarly, the Ryan Murphy thing, I had no idea. That was all new to me. But I thought this was a fun episode. I think that none of the queens did a particularly bad job. I think it really was splitting hairs when it came to some of the judging decisions.
Yeah.
Maybe some questionable choices, I thought, based on who ultimately ends up in the bottom, maybe with who production was okay with sending home. I feel like they were okay with losing Lana or Lydia, and maybe they thought that Lydia would send Lana home, then Lydia gets caught up in the whole scissors debacle. So who knows ultimately how they wanted it to happen, but it did feel a little bit like production protecting their faves, and they can kind of get away with it because the judging, like everybody did like a passable, serviceable job.
Yeah.
Was my overall opinion.
Yeah, this definitely felt like one of those episodes where it was like, we're going to edit this in a way that gives us leeway to do whatever we want. And, I think that the queens, even through all the editing, you could tell that most of them were just fine. There was a few standouts, the usual suspects, but other than that, it was fine.
There also wasn't a ton of drama in terms of picking who's going to play who. So Suzie and Jules both wanting the Chicago Swan, which was based on New York. That was really the only sort of drama, which apparently the whole cast is turning on Suzie too. Like Suzie too lives as the inner saboteur. Between that and then the who should go home question at the end of the episode, I was actually shocked that Suzie got, like, so many people said Suzie.
Yeah, I was like expecting more when it came to the who should go home tonight and why question, only because there are some clear people that need to go home. And I think the cop-out answer of this is my biggest competition is a little annoying. But I also understand the proclivity towards trying to be as civil as possible and not trying to piss people off, especially when we've already gone through a lot of these queens pissing each other off over the past couple of weeks. So I get it, but I was like, come on now, y'all. Like, I feel like Lana's name should have came up a bit more, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Suzie, I believe, was the only one who said, so Onya, so everybody said Suzie, except for Onya said Lydia. Lydia returned the favor and said Onya, and then Suzie said Lana, who Lana probably would have been my pick as well. I think there's also, you can do, and maybe this is a bit of a cop-out answer, but you can do it based on the critiques tonight, this is who I think should be going home next. I think that also could be a viable way to go about this, but also it could just be who's friends with whom, and Suzie's just on the outs, even as a biggest competition. And Suzie makes this argument, I can't remember where, maybe an Untucked or something like that, where she's like, I was safe for Snatch Game. I was safe for the roast, right? Like, how are you saying that I'm the biggest competition when there's multiple examples where I should have been in the top and ultimately wasn't? So I think that was a valid answer from her, but her progression on the show has been so weird. I saw somebody compare it she got a Jinx Monsoon edit to a Lucy edit. And it was just like a seamless transition, which I thought was pretty accurate.
Yeah, I can't quite get a read on her either. I'm not really sure what production would like us to assume about the rest of her time here. Because obviously she's very talented with the performance challenges. Her runways are usually pretty good as well, but it just feels like that clash with her and the cast seems to be like what they're trying to focus on. So in a way, it's like, yeah, do you kind of give her the win in the end to give like that Jinx edit? But at the same time, she's really not like Jinx in the sense that Jinx, while she would fight back a little bit, she kind of would just be like, all right, whatever, girl. But Suzie, I feel like, is a little bit more combative. She will be like, and she will actually go toe to toe with people. So it's like, this wounded bird thing doesn't really work for her. But yes, I don't know. Like, and I don't want to believe, just for the sake of not being too predictable, I don't want to full on put all my eggs in Onya's basket quite yet, because she has she won, right? So she's now at 3. She's at 3 now.
Yeah.
But for a while, it was a tie game with her, Sam, and Suzie. So I'm like, okay, there's still a few challenges left. Something can get shaken up. I'm still holding a little bit of candle out for Jules. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they want us to think about Suzie, but I'm interested to see how it continues to progress.
Yeah, because I think that there's a universe where they could edit it to be sort of a 3-way race between Sam, Onya, and Suzie potentially, but that's kind of not really how it's seeming to shake out. Like, to me, it seems like Onya v. Sam seems to be the main storyline. I mean, Sam, I don't know. I should look for a confessional chart or like time of confessionals, but I feel like Sam, especially in this episode, gets so many confessionals. Maybe Sam is just the perfect person that lays out, this is the challenge, this is what we're doing this week. And so maybe that's why she gets so much content, because it really does feel like we get a lot of Sam Star.
I feel like her personality really wasn't at the forefront in the beginning of the season. And now, because she is doing well and she has 2 wins, I think it's safe to assume that she's probably going to be at the finale. So they are giving us a lot more of her in the confessionals. I don't know if it's winner quite yet, but I think out of necessity, they've had to sort of like rush her to the forefront because she got 2 wins, girl. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into everything from this episode in terms of the main challenge. So I have the runway looks pulled up. So I figure let's go through the runway looks and talk about how that queen did, both for the runway and for the main challenge. So first, we're going to talk about the pairing of Lana and Onya. So Lana Jarre is up first, and their pairing was Big Fupa and Big Fupa's mom, Drippy Q, where Lana plays Drippy Q. And at least the narrative this was maybe the most confusing when Lana ended up in the bottom, because what I got, especially from the rehearsal, was she took directions well. She's, having a good time. She did well with Onya. And obviously Onya, it was just such a powerhouse, and to me, the clear top winner of this challenge. So maybe that brought her down a few marks. But I thought that Lana in the actual challenge did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, it's just that narrative that they are running with, that Onya is sort of like a juggernaut when it comes to acting and comedy. So if you're going to put yourself up next to her, you really have to either be better or you have to be able to volley well. And I don't think that she didn't volley well. So I thought that she did a pretty good job. I can understand why they feel like she was dwarfed, which is crazy because the girl is tall as hell. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go next to Onya, you really gotta make sure that you're up to it, because it's so easy for the judges to be like, yeah, you were kind of outshined. So
yeah, exactly. That's like an easy excuse to put her in the bottom. Well, sorry, your team partner did so much better than you, and we're okay with losing you. We don't want to lose Jules at this stage, so we're gonna put you in the bottom. Was like the general energy that I felt. In terms of runway look, I don't know what it is. Black and white ball was the theme of the category. We also had 2 girls showing their coochies. Was this like this is like also part of the brief that they just left out?
Yeah, like I feel like we are not getting the full runway roster. Like I feel like they're always like, this is the black and white ball, and by the way, you got to do it this way. We just don't get that part. This is Okay. I forget. Did she say this is something that I haven't done before and this time around?
Yeah.
Because somebody put
Yeah.
together a whole montage of her saying it for like she said it like 5 times at this point. So, bitch, what do you wear? What do you wear?
Nothing.
How did you get on this show? Like how when you were showcasing yourself and throwing in your audition tape, what was the look? What was the vibe, sis? Was it just leg, and more leg? And RuPaul was like, okay, maybe this will be my Naomi 2.0. It's like, what is going on here? Like,
Well,
does the
she's
bitch just walk around
Lux's.
naked?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what she was saying. She was like, "This is a new look for me because I normally don't wear clothes." And I mean, she's Lux Noir London's daughter, right?
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe there's some nepo baby in there when it came to the runways, but yeah, I mean, obviously she's a gorgeous queen. I love the paint. I love the wig. I love the fact that the bows are also made out of hair. I think where she kind of loses me is the transition from the top piece to the cooch to the tights. Like there's something about that that doesn't quite work for me, but everything from sort of cooch up, I really loved and I thought was really beautiful.
Yeah, it does feel a little disjointed. Like it feels like that part is like riding up a bit. Maybe it needs to get pulled down. I'm not sure. But it's fine. Not my favorite, but it's fine.
Yeah. Let's talk about Lana's scene partner, Onya Nerve. And oh my gosh, Aman, what a freaking charismatic powerhouse. I am so envious of Onya. I want just an ounce of her energy.
I know. It just never ends. It's like indefatigable. It's just every time she's on that stage, she just lights it on up. From the wig snatching to the subtle shade to the navigation of the long nails. Like it's just, obviously she is a fan of these characters. And I like that she tries to draw inspiration from people in her life. So it grounds the character. Yes, it's comedic, but I like that she likes to remind us in confessionals that she's always pulling from something that has worked for her in the past. It really, I think that it just shows that she really respects the craft of performance as opposed to just, well, I'm going to go out there and act silly. Like, yeah, that's fun, but, give it a little zhuzh, zhuzh it up, girl. So I think that she did a great job. The look, I love the fascinator. The dress,
okay.
I feel like I couldn't quite get what was going on as I was watching it on the runway. I feel like I understand what it's going for, but I don't know how to describe it. It feels like I'm looking here, but how does that part relate down to the bottom? And it just looks it feels like it needs a little bit more editing to me.
Yes, I completely agree with that. I felt like the silhouette wasn't like quite there. This was reminiscent of sort of the first look when we were introduced to Onya on the runway, where it was, oh, I like this concept. I like the idea of where you're going. It's just maybe not executed 100% in the way that is, unfortunately we've come to see on Drag Race, where you really have to be precise. So there was a split second where I was nervous that she could lose because of this challenge, because of the runway not necessarily being up to par, especially if someone like Sam, who we know brings it on the runway, comes with a look that is just so far above. But I was so happy with Onya winning after watching the show, I guess, I don't know, the challenge. It was immediately obvious to me that Onya was going to be the winner. I just didn't understand how they could justify anybody else, because she just came in so strong and commands your attention. And regardless of what she's saying and doing, you just want to look at her. And so while, yes, this is an acting challenge, it almost does feel like a commanding attention in a good way challenge. And she just absolutely nailed it. I was very impressed with Onya.
Yeah, I mean, she's very expressive in the face. She really understands language, I think, on a really great level. And that's a special skill for a lot of actors that can really just chew on dialogue. And I think that she really gets it. And she's there. She comes in, she serves, she leaves.
Yeah, it does feel like that. She came in, she nailed it. She exited stage left. Yeah. All right. Let's move on and let's talk about our next pairing. So this is going to be Lydia and Sam Starr. So Sam plays Shonda Cox, who is her husband is cheating on her with Shonda's best friend and her husband's proctologist. Dr. Sniffy Skatington or something. I believe that's the relationship between all these characters. But regardless, how did you feel like Sam did in the Maxi Challenge?
Well, I mean, she played a Southern housewife.
Little typecast, yeah, we love it.
I thought that she was probably the second best after Onya, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that she I believed it. I thought that, you know, I mean, and the look too, which is like really, really just prim and just like so chic. But I thought that it was interesting once Lydia came in as her scene partner, because in a lot of ways, Lydia can acting is just isn't Lydia's thing. She doesn't really know how to deliver lines in a way that packs a punch. So I feel like that only made Sam look even better, but I could see that the strength of the scene was kind of like bogged down just a little bit because the timing was a little bit off with Lydia. But I think that Sam did all that she could in that. Like I almost wonder, like, what would this have been like if it were Onya and Sam? I feel like this would have been completely over the top, and I would have loved every moment of it. But I thought that Sam did a great job. In terms of the look, I like it. It's giving Harlequin circus Joker extravaganza. Okay.
Yes.
The skirt is just very eye popping. It just your eyes want to go everywhere all at the same time. I love the trim on the left hand side of it as it goes down and then scoots around to the right end. It's just very it looks expensive, it looks fun, and it looks very well tailored. So I like it.
I can't decide if this one or Jules is my favorite look from the week. I just think it's so well executed. It's the kind of runway perfection we've come to see from Sam. And just the attention to detail with the makeup also is just so stunning. You just have to give Sam props for what she's been able to do on the runway. And I echo your feeling in terms of the performance in the main challenge. I thought her delivery of the wrist lipo joke was pretty funny. I like the it's okay or it's not okay, but it's all right reference, those kinds of things. I thought that it's clear like she got the reference, she knew what she was doing. But yeah, it just there wasn't a whole lot of give and take with her and Lydia per se. I mean, yeah, I don't know how much more than Sam could have done with if Lydia was like, maybe just then the overall chemistry of the scene would have been better. I probably also would have put Sam similarly in second place. I just feel like because of Anya's charisma, there was a big gap, right? Where it was like Onya just clearly nailed it, and then Sam did a great job, delivered all her lines well, seemingly took direction. So, just a really solid, serviceable job is where I would put Sam.
Yeah.
But I really want to get in to Lydia because obviously Lydia ultimately ends up going home this week. I felt like what Lydia struggled with in the Maxi Challenge was she would get the notes, okay? And there's almost like two ways I feel that either Cheyenne Jackson or Ross would give notes. They would say, hey, try it this style. And then they would just give the vague style suggestion. That was kind of what Lana got. And Lana really, I feel like, took that and ran with it. But even with Lydia, Ross was trying to say, here's how you say it, just mimic me. Just parrot what I'm doing and it will be better, especially in terms of the prostate line, which seemed to be the really big sticking point here. So as you mentioned, acting is not seems to be Lydia's strong suit, but neither does it seem to be just replicate what someone else did. Just say it the way Ross said it, because that will even help you to bump it up to the next level.
I've never understood people that aren't able to mimic in that way. Like, you see someone literally spoon feed you the line and it just doesn't come out the way you want it to come out. It's Kimura Hall with the I was rooting for us. Like, girl, that's not also, no. Like you hear it. It's also Jasmine or no. It's Nina Benina Brown in where are the cute guys at this school? Where are the cute guys at this school? It's like, no, where are the cute guys at this school? Like, say it like that. I don't understand. Like, you don't speak like that. Like, that doesn't sound natural. So why are you? It doesn't make much sense to me, and I don't get it. And Lydia is so expressive when it comes to lip syncing. She sort of becomes somebody else when she's lip syncing. This like that Lydia that's on stage when she's fighting for her life. Where is she more of the time? Because I feel like obviously you know how to perform, you know how to give, you know how to be expressive. I just think that maybe she's so in her head. And also she's a little on the younger side, so I don't necessarily know if she gets all the references. I mean, even me, I love reality TV, and I wasn't understanding some of these feuds. So I know she was probably struggling with some of those feuds. So it's just like there needs to be a little bit more research. I think she just needs to bake in the oven a little bit more. I don't think that I feel like she should have studied, but it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that's the thing, is that her performance wasn't inherently bad. It just wasn't good. I mean, like, it wasn't great, right? Like, she just didn't take it to the next level. And especially when she's getting the direction and not able to mimic, then I think that is just, a bit of a struggle. Also, I'm not going to lie, Aman, as soon as I saw her walk down the runway in this with things dripping off her, I was like, Aman's going to love this.
I've just come to accept her for who she is, okay?
That's so sweet.
She is just a hanging, drooping, prolapsed mess, okay? That's just all she will ever be. And that's fine. I think she understands what works for her. We've seen this silhouette it's getting into Bianca Del Rio territory at this point. It's always, skinny, skinny, skinny down the middle, and then droopy, droopy, droopy off the arms, and something hanging off of like a shawl or like a cape, and that's just like what she likes. That's what she likes. I really need for Corey to give her man a makeover. I want to see Lydia in Corey King drag. That's what I want to see.
With that padding, oh my gosh, just to mix it up a little bit, right? You can still do the drippy drippy. I just also want to see the plumpy plumpy sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, we can do both.
It's a good garment. I like it. It's I think that she really knows how to sew for herself, and that's a great skill to have. I just want her to experiment. So it's just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the garment sort of in Lydia's category, this might be one of my favorites. I think also it's a little bit more tailored, especially in the waist. So I think that helps to bring out her shape. Her makeup, stunning this week. The makeup and the hair, just absolutely gorgeous. We'll talk about the lip sync later, but she did have one moment when she's opening her eyes really wide, and that moment just really took me. And you can see how genuinely beautiful she is in drag. And so I have to give her props and compliment her for that, even if the maxi challenge wasn't all there.
Yeah.
Next up, we are going to talk about the pairing of Lexi Love and Suzie Toot. We'll talk about Suzie Toot first. Aman, how'd you feel about her? The judges' critique was this is like very realistic acting, especially compared to everybody else.
Yeah. So I get it. I totally get it. And I feel like there's a piece of me that if I were ever on Drag Race, I might fall into that trap as well. Because you're like, I'm an actor, I'm a thespian, I take the craft seriously, you know what I mean? And it's like, bitch, it's drag. Like, it's okay to pull from that, of course. But you're not out here winning Emmys, girl. That's not what this is for. You are out here to have a fart and a gag and a laugh. Okay, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to infuse into this performance. Let go a little bit more. And the same energy that you were bringing during the what was that challenge where they were songs of like famous untucked moments, whatever they called that challenge.
Oh yes.
She ate that shit up. Like she was, it's unfortunate that that was her having to perform as a drag queen as opposed to something that's a little bit more realistic. And the housewives are basically just women drag queens. They're just bio queens, girl. That's all they are. Like, all you got to do is just ham it up a little bit more. And I know you know how to ham it up. You are a theater person. You all you eat is ham. Okay, so I totally understood. I wasn't quite sure what my problem with it was until the judges were like, "Yeah, I think you are just giving a bit too much realism in this." So I like
I think it was Cheyenne Jackson who said something about like, oh, we've got an actress on her hand or on our
Yes.
hands. The ASMR bit I thought was very fun between her and Lexi. I think that was the bit where it allowed her, or like almost not even allowed, almost forced her to be more exaggerative in the acting style, because you can't, you have to really go in for the whisper to make that pop. So that was where I think she probably did her best. So, I think she got her flowers from the judges, but it's just tough to, I think, compete with Onya. I think maybe you can make an argument between her and Sam for that second/third place spot in terms of who is in the top. It probably is just a preference thing, I would assume, because, whatever. But she plays Felicity Slander Pump against Liza Rimmer, who was Lexi. So they have their own little feud going on. The look is interesting because I love the tassels. I love the way it moves. I hear Sam Smith's critique, who was our guest judge this week, about making it a little bit more like snatched or drag kind of in some way. I do wonder then how that would influence how the tassels move, if that would kind of like mess it up if you now have to deal with this trying to create the hourglass shape. So that would be the only concern for me. But she did say it's inspired by cats. She loves cats. She thinks cats think they're better than everybody else, and so does Suzie.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Love that.
Yeah, I thought that she did an interesting job, and I like the look as well. I think that this particular scene with her and Lexi requires so much, like a little bit of chronically online type of shenanigans, because not only do you have to be well versed in this particular brand of housewives, you have to be well versed in this feud, and then you have to be well versed in the fact that there are ASMR versions of famous arguments of reality TV that have, it's not quite popular anymore. It was a few years ago that they were a little more popular, but that's like a very, very niche thing to have to bring to light. And it's like, does RuPaul even really understand what's going on when he watches this? Like it's just like that was very, very niche.
Honestly, that's a really good point. And that was me for, a chunk of this, because I was just not familiar with some of these things. So I didn't even know what it was based off of. And so I didn't know obviously how familiar that online community would be, and also this is going out to a ton of people. So in the same way that we got educated about Truman Capote, I almost wish that they had done some education on some of these feuds just to kind of like prep us for what we should be expecting. Or maybe the show didn't even care. They're like, look, we're going to take inspiration from this, but ultimately at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter what these queens are doing. They just have to be entertaining. It's loosely based off of the source material was probably the angle that they were going for.
Yeah, for sure.
If we talk about Lexi, which we shall, I think we also need to address that Lexi Love's inner saboteur is apparently represented in the outside world by Suzie Toot. Because I did not realize how traumatized Lexi seems to be by Suzie Toot. Like, this was news to me.
This is, and then you put yourself in a group of Lexi girl.
Exposure therapy.
Oh, Lexi is my favorite mess of the season because she has just been going through it every other episode. She is just like, I just think that she is desperately trying to find her place in this. And I think that she's aware of the fact that she is mother of the season. So there's so much pressure that she's putting on herself to really deliver, not only for her sisters, but also for the people that are rooting for her back home. I think that she knows that people expect her to serve because she's an elder, heavy on the quotations there. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how familiar she was. I can't remember if she was talking about it during the rehearsal process, if she was familiar with this particular feud and the ASMR of it all. I thought that she did a good job, but I think it's also sort of the similar dynamic between Lana and Onya. I think that even in Suzie's daytime realness, Lexi was just a little understated, but I think that she did her best to not make that happen because she knows that that's a very, very quick trap to fall into if you're going to be next to Suzie. So it was fine. Again, the look, RuPaul, Lexi's drag race, okay? Lexi's drag race, because she's going to drag, and them legs are going to be out. Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, before I give my opinion on Lexi, if you hear any faint Evanescence music in the background, it is because the New Haven St. Patrick's Day Parade is currently right outside my window right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I muted myself on the StreamYard where we're recording, and then I can see that they're telling me, they're like, "Your mic is muted. Would you like to speak? You should unmute." And I'm like, "No, it's just Evanescence outside my window."
Evanescence. Just my immortal
Exactly.
playing, blasting.
Exactly. But to talk about Lexi, in terms of her performance of the challenge, it was interesting because I almost felt like the edit was telling me something different than what ultimately happened with the judging. Like I felt like the edit was trying to say, "Oh, Lexi's kind of struggling here, and this might be a challenge for her, and she's with Suzie and all that, and like this is going to be a problem." And then ultimately, she ends up being safe and not really in consideration for the bottom three. So that was a little bit of a like, what in terms of my interpretation of how the show is like telling me she's doing. But ultimately, I thought that she did a really great job when she kind of got past some of the flubbing of the lines in the rehearsal. And I'm happy that she also was able to come to that same conclusion, because we get a confessional from her the next day where she's saying, after some reflection, I think I actually did a really good job. So I was happy for her that she was able to sort of come to terms with that. Again, I think the ASMR part was good. I liked the whole like allergic to gluten and heterosexual husbands back and forth. I thought those jokes were delivered quite well between Lexi and Suzie. So I really have to give her credit for what she was able to accomplish in the challenge, even despite, the whole inner saboteur situation. And then I echo the thoughts with you, Aman, in terms of the runway look. The way that the train I get it, it's another train, but the way that it flows was just so absolutely gorgeous. I just wish, again, her legs are out. We love that. I just don't really care for the coochie part. Not that I'm pro coochie, don't get me wrong. I just wish for the
down with the coochie.
Down to the coochie, yeah. Very anti-coochie. No, it's just because it's distracting me from wanting to look at the beautiful train that is flowing behind her. So that's really the only reason why I would maybe elongate it just a little bit. And maybe because I saw Lana's earlier and I was like, I don't like this. So I'm like primed to not like it. But she was another queen this week that the hair and makeup on freaking point. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, out of all of the trains that she's had, I think this probably is one of my favorites. You're right, like the color gradient from the white into the gray into the black is very fun to look at, and obviously anything that is going to give you that Coco Montrese lip sync tease is going to be just very, very fun. So yeah, I think that she did a good job.
Yeah. We have one more queen to talk about, Jules Sparkles. Aman, give us all your feelings.
Pretty much, I would let Jules know that she is a fat. And the shoes that she gave me were not something that I would particularly buy for myself. They were old maiden types of shoes. And she said that those shoes were meant to be worn on a beautiful woman. So if that's the case, she should have put them back on the rack, and she should have never even purchased them because she was unqualified to own those shoes, if that's the case. And I just think that Jules is just a disgrace. She's a disgrace to the drag community, and she's a disgrace to drag queens who are actually beautiful and classy. And she just doesn't have the vernacular that she thinks she possesses. Somebody lied to her several times and told her that she was fly, hot, and sexy and beautiful, and she's nothing like that. She's nothing of the sort.
Claps, 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 snaps, snaps, snaps. Oh my God, I'm on it. That was so good. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the reference, this is from Tiffany New York Pollard from Big Brother when she's talking about Gemma Collins, and she has this confessional that is iconic. And Aman, I honestly that captured that so well. That was so good.
I have watched
Go watch them side by side.
Disgusting amount of times. It's in my DNA at this point. But that's what I wanted from her, and she tried. I could see that she was trying. I see that she was trying, and I'm glad that she went for it. I love that she was like, it's a risk. I'm sort of by myself. It's a lot going on, and I love that. And I don't doubt that she's watched it and that she's memorized it. And I'm thinking, you know what, maybe that was a bit of a hindrance for her because she kept adding parts in it that were not there. And I was like, you know what? I probably might fall into that trap too, because I easily spotted that off right now. Right. Like, so I could totally see myself in a world where parts of it get cut out, and I just still want to keep saying it because I've said it that way so many times. So I get it, but I just think that it was hard for her to really go to that place with Tiffany New York Pollard. And it's interesting too because there's a valid critique in in the drag race community, that there seems to be like this propensity for caricatures of Black women. So I totally understand why there might be a reluctance on some queens' parts to really go for that type of character. And I don't know if that's happening necessarily here with Jules, but I think when it comes to Tiffany New York Pollard, you have to go for it. She is over the top. She is dramatic. She is unfiltered. She says what she wants. It's just if you don't have that there, like if you don't have that bit of that character there, it's never going to work. You're just essentially going to be reading lines. And I think that she tried. I give her the credit for trying. I think what really saved her here is this motherfucking look. Oh my God. I love it so much. I love the fact that one bag is the head of the cat. One, I guess if you want to call it a bag or wristlet or whatever it is the tail. I just thought that was so neat and so like just interesting and fun. The way that they would move on her wrist really just added like this dimension to it. I love like the chains in white and like this sort of like paper mache arts and crafts type feel at the top with the tucks and the tie and the it's so fun to me. It's just so I want it.
Mm-hmm.
I want it. So I think she did a great job on that part.
And the inspiration also coming from one of her favorite graphical artists, which, by the way, also just to go back to Lexi for one hot second, like I get it was a Mugler remake. I still want the coochie covered. Anyway, so to talk about Jules, though, you took all of the words from my mouth. I completely echo exactly what you're saying in terms of the critique for her. It didn't pan out, I think, in the way that she had in her head. And I also very much agree. And I think one of the queens actually said it, that she did struggle because she knew the original monologue. So she couldn't like do, which then I'm like, just let her do it. I don't understand why you're being so nitpicky. Like, I'm sorry, our writing is so good. We need Jules to say the line verbatim. I don't know. Maybe if they felt like some of the jokes wouldn't work, but who cares? It's like that's the point, is that she's doing, or it's supposed to be mimicking this. So let some of that stuff through. I thought it was fine. But yeah, this look, again, stunning, absolutely gorgeous. And I think could have been the reason why she ultimately ended up not going in the bottom two, because we do get her. So Jules, Lana, and Lydia are pretty clear bottom three from this challenge, even though every queen did get critiques. Those three were the ones that ultimately ended up in the bottom, with Jules being the one who ends up safe here. So that being said, let's talk about, oh my God, the music is so loud. Okay, let's talk about this lip sync. I can't even think now. This is getting in my way. Okay, Lydia v. Lana. Unholy, Sam Smith, Kim Petras, which of course, because Sam Smith was the guest judge. I'm actually shocked it took forever to get Unholy as a lip sync song. I feel like maybe they were waiting for Sam Smith to come on the show, but it just felt like such an obvious choice for a drag race lip sync song.
Is Unholy originally just Sam with no Kim Petras, and Kim Petras gets added on a remix? I always thought it was both of their songs.
I think it's both of them from the get-go.
By Sam Smith, I was like, oh my God, not the Kim Petras erasure. What did Kim do?
I don't remember. I think they may have said it out loud, but maybe I don't know in the text if it's, or one was the opposite. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's both of them from the get-go.
Yeah. I feel bad for Sam. You are, this is a queer man. He watches the show. He loves Drag Race. I'm sure that it's always honoring to have, your music on an episode as a lip sync song. And you want the queens to make your song one of the most epic lip syncs of all time, right? Lydia.
No.
You need to go to the school of Scarlet Envy.
Scarlet Envy. Write down.
The way she cut that shit up like it was nothing, and stepped out of that dress seamlessly. Oh God, Lydia, it was so bad. And then her damn heel got caught in the fabric, and she's just sitting there like, girl, like what is going on? And Sam was like, like, I'm so upset about it because Lydia could have stayed. She could have stayed. All she had to do was beat Lana. Like, you have a win. Lana does not.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a universe where the production thought that Lydia was going to be the one to win, but it's undeniable. You can't give Lana the win there when you see Lydia struggling so much. I'm trying to find a screenshot because if I remember correctly, so she takes out the scissors, which is sort of a challenge in and of itself. Then when she goes to cut the dress, I think she tries to cut the fabric, like the because you know how her outfit has the dress itself and then sort of the fabric on top of it.
Yeah.
She kind of gets like caught a little bit trying to cut. Yeah, okay, here we go. I'm gonna pull it up on the other screen for those of you who are watching the YouTube version. You can see, so it's a little bit tough to tell, but she kind of gets stuck right here on the fabric part as well. And I think that then as soon as anything sort of starts to go wrong, then it's just such a struggle bus. So I think the combination of that, she's like definitely fumbling with, oh my God, yeah, the Sam Smith expression is killing me. And the other funny part, God, I wish that we could show clips on YouTube without getting demonetized, because like here trying to cut it, Lana in the background doing splits it's just
so bad. It's so bad. And I feel like Lana at that point knew, because she would look at Lydia a couple times. She was like, "Oh, I won," because it was just too much. And like she's looking down, which means her lips cannot be seen, so she's not even proving that she knows the lyrics. At that point, when you knew that it wasn't going to work at that point, make it a comedy, girl. Like, look at those scissors. Let me not throw the scissors, actually. Put them down gently.
Gently toss them to the side.
And just, do what you can in that skirt. Because again, Lydia is very expressive when it comes to the lip sync. So I know that is she like this fantastic dancer? No. But that doesn't matter. She's still a great lip syncer. So I feel like she would have been able to move regardless of whether or not she was in that skirt or not. So I just wish that she would have just had the forethought to pivot. You got to be able to pivot. When it doesn't work, pivot.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned this, Sam Smith face the entire time of just like, because it's almost like this, and I think it's best described as a slow car crash, right? Because it's not like this one sort of shocking moment. It's this very slow progression of things going wrong. And as you said, her heel getting caught as well adds to just, because then she finally gets she gets it cut, then gets stuck, then gets like caught up in the fabric, and then she's on the ground trying to like wriggle her way out of the dress as well. So this whole thing is taking, it's like this whole, she's like spending time sitting on the ground getting undressed. It's very much when you come home after a drunk night at the club and you're trying to take your pants off. It's that.
Get off.
And you like can't get the last leg of your pants off because you're wearing like skinny jeans. You just can't get it off. That's exactly what this was giving me. Oh, poor sweet Lydia. Because I echo, she just beats. I think even production maybe even wanted Lydia to win and sending Lana home. Because otherwise, why would they put Lana in the bottom? Or they were fine with either one of them leaving.
At this point, Lana's not gonna win. She's not gonna win. Like, at least leave everyone in the competition that has a win. Even because what is it? Like, at this point, they're at the final 6.
Yeah.
So like at most, let's be positive and say there's gonna be a final 3, right? That means that she has 3 chances to win to win. She's not gonna win all 3. So even if she wins 1, she's still going to be 2 behind Onya, 1 behind everybody else. She'll be on par with Jules, assuming Jules isn't. It's just,
Yeah.
You better count her blessings. Just count your blessings, Lana. And I don't mean to sound like a Lana hater. It's not that but it's just, it's just simple fact of the matter. She's not gonna win. She's not gonna win. Send her home.
Yeah. Well, and I think also next week being the See You Next Tuesday monologues, that also, or charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, right? Monologues. I think that also is something that Lydia would have done well in, just based on her performance in the roast. Maybe not necessarily based on her acting challenge, but if they have some element of being able to come up with the concept themselves, then I think that Lydia would do well in that. If it's like just do this monologue, then that would be a concern for me for Lydia. But yeah, I just don't see how Lana's not the one out next week based on what we've seen from the edit and sort of the production faves. Like, I have to imagine the top 5, unless one of them really royally messes up, I have to imagine that the top 5 is going to be Sam, Onya, Lexi, Jules, and Suzie. So if I'm wrong, I don't want to eat a chapstick, so I'm not going to do that one. But I'll donate to charity. Well, I'll donate to charity anyway. But like, I just don't see a universe where Lana is the one who makes it into the top 5.
I don't see it either. It's literally do or die at this point. She has to win, or at least avoid the bottom. Like that's the only way. And given her track record, I just don't know if that's possible. But
exactly.
if she pulls it out, more power to her. Actually, no, because that means that Jules will probably go home. So I
know, right? I'm nervous. I think it's going to be Jules v. Lana next week. I'm curious if they would ever put Lexi in the bottom. Or maybe they'd be nervous that she would get in her own head. I wouldn't be willing to let her go home. I don't know.
That's true. I forgot about Lexi. I forgot about her. Okay. Well,
we'll have to see next week. Also, I'm going to read this for Beth in absentia, who is back from her trip, but unfortunately got ill. So she is not the reason why she didn't join us today, but should hopefully be feeling better and join us next week. The sign-off line for Ru to Lydia was, "I will always have a soft spot for you," which I think is obviously quite a compliment, but also I feel like there was so much more that Ru could have done butthole-wise with Lydia. So I was kind of a little disappointed in terms of her sign-off line, but there we are. Yeah. All right, Aman, is there anything else that you want to talk about from this episode, Drag Race in general, or otherwise?
No, I thought this was a pretty decent episode, sort of just getting us right on to the end. Still hoping that Jules could get herself another win. I haven't like really rooted for somebody like this in a long time. Like, I feel like, obviously you root for somebody every season. A lot of the time it's people that everyone seems to be rooting for, like last year, Saphira, obviously Philly. I felt obligated to root for her. And also she was just fantastic. So you want to root for her. But I haven't rooted for a dark horse in a while. So that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to I mean, I've been a fan of Jules from the beginning, and I think there's some challenges where they could have justified Jules to be in the top.
She should have won for the Rusa Code. She was robbed. I swear to God, she was robbed.
I'm trying to see when the season 17 finale is, but I don't think we know that yet. Yeah, number of episodes to be announced, so not exactly sure what's going to happen with there, but we are starting to come around towards the end of the season, being with our top 6 queens. Potentially, if it's a top 4, like that's it, only 2 more episodes. If it's a top 3, obviously we'll continue with that as well. So we'll be back next week to talk about everything from the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent monologues, and see who our 6th queen sent home will be, or 6th place queen, I'm sorry. So that's it. Aman, any plugs, social media, anything else you want to talk about?
You can find me everywhere at Aman Adwin. Check out my podcast with Matt LaGoy, The Diary Room, where we have been whittling down. We are almost at the halfway mark of the first round. So
oh my God,
we have gone through half of every Big Brother player from Canada to America to OTT to all 3 celebrity seasons. So yeah, it's been a wild ride thus far. It's just going to keep on getting wilder. So check us out over there.
You can follow me on social media, Lianaism. You can check out everything that I'm doing with Puya for the Puya and Liana Lounge. We did a Hot Ones style challenge where I had to eat spicy wings or answer questions that I might not want out in the public sphere. So you can check that out if you're interested. PuyaandLiana.com for all of those, both the YouTube channel as well as the audio version as well. And then Mike and I are plugging along for Survivor coverage. We just talked about the most recent episode with Sasha Joseph, which, oh my God, the craziest tribal council that I've seen in a long time, at least from a mechanics perspective.
Yeah, that was
in terms
crazy.
of 1,000 different rules. So we get into all of that, break all that down, and then also talk about some other smaller moments.
I don't know why. Just tell them you don't have. Tell them you don't have.
Oh my God. That's what I said, Aman. And then people are upset. Okay, so here, okay, all right. Here's some unfiltered Liana Survivor opinions, because everybody was like, "Oh, like Justin didn't have a chance. Like Justin, like got unlucky." And I'm like, yes, I get it that he didn't have a choice. He didn't have a choice to go on the journey. He didn't have a choice when it came to playing the game. It was just pure luck. Blah blah blah. But I totally agree with you, Aman. If he had just told Cedric, "Hey, I don't have my vote," that I think completely alleviates everything, because it's like, look, man, I've been transparent with you from the beginning. Boom. Cedric was already willing to send Say home.
Exactly.
Twice.
That's the thing.
What are we doing here?
That's the thing. It's like you knew that he wanted to vote Say. Like you have to just tell him, because that seemed to be the deciding factor. Because she pled her case and said, "Look, I've been honest with you." He hasn't. She would not have been able to say that had you just been like, "I don't have my vote. We gotta figure something out."
I totally agree. And I mean, apparently the tribal council went on for a long time. There was more pleading we didn't get to see, but like fundamentally at the end of the day, that seemed to be at least what we were told was the deciding factor, was the fact that Justin didn't talk about anything related to losing his vote. And I'm like, why didn't, like, Justin and Cedric, I'm sure, had a conversation like, "Hey, look, if Mary does have something and her shot in the dark hits, let's both vote out Say." You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they talked about that. So why did anyway, very frustrating. But anyway, ended up with a crazy tribal council. So check out all that that you can find on the RHAP YouTube or in the Survivor channel. So we're gonna get out of here. The music is somehow getting even
I can
louder.
hear it now.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. So we will stop badgering your eardrums with the whatever's being played outside my window right now.
You should go out there, get yourself a drink.
I know, right? So leave your star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all of their help behind the scenes, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.